It's a lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV Main News. To present, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Top stories in our news tonight. Court acquits KAMBWILI again as he urges ECZ to allow political rallies. John SANGWA discontinues ECL eligibility case, but matter continues through Linda Kasonde. Resident doctors call off the protest. In international news, DR Congo volcano eruption leaves 15 dead. And in sports news, NAPSA placed JANZA, CHAIPA on administrative leave alongside FATHY.
The much awaited for Camnet conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
We have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are, can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates, 28th to 29th May 2021. Time, 0730 hours to 1630 hours. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges, 950 kwacha, lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010, or you can pay via Stanbic bank account number 913000 1825 325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
We need Zambia to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bob Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that could give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
If we came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people say, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hello again, the news in detail. Legal Resources Foundation Limited has withdrawn the case where it was challenging the nomination of President Edgar Lungu to contest in the 12th August 2021 general elections. In this case, the foundation had petitioned President Lungu in the Constitutional Court seeking a declaration that the nomination papers he filed on the 17th of May 2021 to contest in this year's general election is null and void as it contravenes Articles 106 Cap 3 of the Constitution. We have more in this report.
One petition challenging President Edgar Lungu's nomination to contest in the 2021 general election has been dropped following the petition filing in a notice of discontinuation in the case this morning. The Legal Resources Foundation Limited, which petitioned the head of state last week Friday, seeking a declaration that his nomination papers filed on the 17th of May 2021 to contest for the general elections were null and void had it contravened Article 1063 of the Constitution. The foundation in this case argued that President Edgar Lungu had contravened the said article the moment he filed in his nomination papers, with the returning officer supported by an affidavit stating that he is qualified to contest as a presidential candidate in the general elections. According to the foundation's petition, President Edgar Lungu has been sworn in twice or held the office twice from the period 25th January 2015 until 13th September 2016, and the second time from 2016 until the president-elect is sworn into the office of the president after the 2021 general elections. But in its notice filed before the Constitutional Court dated 24th May 2021, the Legal Resources Foundation Limited has withdrawn the case. Meanwhile, a petition filed by Chapter 1 Foundation Limited and Dr. Shishua still remains. The two petitioners are also challenging President Edgar Lungu's nomination. However, the two petitioners Monday morning filed in a notice where they're seeking an order from the court. The two petitioners are now seeking the court to serve an order to the president by putting up an advert in two print medias, namely Must and News Diggers. For now, we can wait and see how the case unfolds. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Civil Society Constitutional Agenda, CISCA, has called for the immediate retraction of the PF Lusaka Province Chairperson Kennedy Kamba's threats on State Counsel John Sangwa on account of Mr. Sangwa's petition on the eligibility of President Lungu's candidature on behalf of the Legal Resources Foundation. CISCA Chairperson Judith Mulenga says Mr. Kamba's instruction to his cadres were very clearly setting them on Mr. Sangwa to deal with him violently. She explains that Article 11 of our Bill of Rights affirms every person in Zambia's entitlement to the fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual.
Not the first time that Kenneth Kamba is publicly threatening violence to other Zambians. CISCA recalls how Kenneth Kamba threatened to put GBM and HH in wheelchairs if they showed up at a rally they wanted to conduct. CISCA contains that the only qualification that Kenneth Kamba brings to the PF is the ability to brew and serve violence to those with opposing views. Kamba's violent streak needs to be reined in. It has no place in our democracy. We urge Kamba, instead of threatening violence, to disseminate the PF manifesto. If he is unable or unwilling to read through all the 81 pages of the PF manifesto, we urge him to read just on the preamble page, number 6, bullet numbers 4, 6, and 7, which state that the PF commits to 1, zero tolerance for corruption, tribalism, and violence. Number 6, respect for the rule of law and respect for human rights. And on page 1, the manifesto says the PF observes and continues to observe constitutionalism and the rule of law. In any case, 15 other persons have successfully filed for the presidency. These are the people playing the same game Kamba is, not John Sangwa. Leave him alone.
The Lusaka Magistrates Court has acquitted Patriotic Front member Chishimba Kambwili in a case he was accused of contempt of court. In this matter, Kambwili was taken to court by Economic and Equity Party leader Chilufya Tayali, who accused Kambwili of allegedly tampering with evidence in a case in which the latter was facing 3 counts of forgery, uttering false documents and giving false information to a public officer before Lusaka Magistrate David Simusamba, and Kambwili was convicted. But delivering judgment Monday morning, Magistrate Nsunge Chanda said the state had failed to prove the case against the accused. We have more in this report.
Former National Democratic Congress leader Chishimba Kambwili, who is now a member of the Patriotic Front, has thanked the court for delivering a fair judgment in a matter he was charged with 1 count of contempt of court. This morning, the Lusaka's Magistrate Court acquitted Dr. Kambwili on account that the state had failed to provide evidence against him. In this matter, Dr. Kambwili was dragged to court by Economic and Equity Party President Chilufya Tayali on an allegation that he tampered with evidence in a case in which the latter was facing 3 counts of forgery, uttering a false document, and giving false information to a public officer before Lusaka Magistrate David Simusamba, and he was convicted for that offense. It was alleged that on March 6, 2018, in Lusaka, Dr. Kambwili caused an obstruction or disturbance in the course of judicial proceedings by lodging documents at Pakra. Dr. Kambwili allegedly uttered the details and records of Momona Engineering and Technical Services, which were subject of an active judicial proceedings before Magistrate Simusamba, and speaking shortly after his acquittal, the former NDC leaders advised Mr. Tali to stop being unfair to his fellow citizens.
I appeal to my younger brother Tali to reflect on his conduct in this country. What I've gone through the last 3 years defending this case is not anything to talk about. It's painful, but I don't take it against him. I can only ask him to reflect, not to be unfair to his fellow citizens.
Meanwhile, Dr. KAMBWILI says his acquittal by the court has nothing to do with him rejoining the Patriotic Front.
You've heard the judgment for yourself. You were in court. Compare if it has anything to do with me going to the PF. You heard the professional judgment, taking into account all the evidence and referring to the law. You heard the judgment. So I would say you are being malicious.
He has also disclosed that there's no way political parties can hold campaigns without public rallies.
That's not an election. To me, that is not campaign. I have given examples, for instance, in America. You also, COVID was there in America where people were dying on the streets. Thousands, if not millions of people were dying every day. But did they stop the rallies? No. They continued the rallies because the rally is the only way you can communicate to the voters. I want to be very consistent on this matter. There is no way you can conduct elections without public rallies.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Resident doctors have called off the go-slow, which was scheduled to start Monday, the 24th of May 2021, citing a fruitful deliberation with the government on Sunday. Resident Doctor Association of Zambia President Dr. Brian Sampa says government has released 2 million kwacha to settle arrears owed to doctors, as well as employ 128 doctors in the next 2 weeks. Dr. Sampa adds that the government has agreed to create 122 senior positions for senior doctors that will see to it that senior doctors are distinct from junior doctors. The doctors, however, say the decision to call off the go-slow has not been necessitated by threats from some government wings, but through government's admission to attend to their demands. Details in the following report.
Resident doctors who were today, 25th May 2021, expected to be on a go-slow due to what they term failure by the government to respond to their demands, among them dismantling of arrears and gratuities for other medical doctors worth 150 million kwacha, creation of positions for senior resident medical officers, registrars and consultant, and recruitment of 500 newly graduated medical doctors. The decision by the doctors was, however, greeted with various threats from the Healthy Professional Council of Zambia, HPCZ, or promised to revoke the practicing license for any doctor who was to take part in the protest, the Labour Commissioner who promised to ensure that protesting doctors be arrested, and the Public Service Commissioner who called the protest an illegal act. But despite all the threats, the resident doctors were not shaken. And Resident Doctors Association of Zambia President Dr. Brian Sampa now says the go-slow has been cut off owing to the fact that the government has agreed to meet part of their demands.
The government pledged that starting this week, they are starting to make the payments in terms of arrears, set-in allowance and gratuities for the doctors owed from 2015 up to date. And to affirm their commitment, the government has already released some money amounting to 200 million, which they will use to now dismantle such debts. Then on the employment of the 500 doctors, the government has pledged to employ 128 doctors within the next 2 weeks, whilst employing more in the subsequent weeks. The other positions for the SRMOs, GRMOs and the consultants and the senior residents, what they have done is that they have created some positions, about 122. Then they will add more as time goes on, because you can understand that this thing is being done in phases. So after seeing that on the table, we saw that from the 100% we demanded, we've received about 50 or more, 50%. So for us, that was good enough to work with for now, as long as the government fulfills the end of the bargain.
But when asked if the decision to U-turn was necessitated by threats received, Dr. Sampa denies these allegations and says there is no need to protest when the government has agreed to meet part of their demands.
To talk about threats, I think that is not true, because look, yesterday people saw all those officers on TV, but for us who've been engaging them, those are the people who've always been meeting in these meetings. So if it was about threats, I think we could have backed down a long time ago. So threats are not the reason we are here. It's because of the reasoning behind. I mean, you ask for 100%, you are given more than 50%. You can trust somebody that they are working on their demands. We would have looked so unreasonable if we had to go ahead despite things being brought on the table. Remember, our achievement is not the go-slow. Our aim is to get our dues, the arrears, setting in allowances, gratuities, people getting more employed, and doctors having substantive positions. That's our goal.
The association has, however, given the government 2 weeks in which to fulfill their promises.
For us, we work with time frame, and we are told within 2 weeks, these 128 people will be employed. Then we will keep on re-engaging, and subsequently, other people will get employed until everyone is employed. So the time period we are working with is 2 weeks. That's where we are supposed to see the results of these engagements.
For now, ours is to observe. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A 21-year-old man of Miafi area in Mukushi district has died, while another has escaped with burned injuries after a grass-thatched house they were sleeping in caught fire. The incident happened in the early hours of Sunday morning, where a man identified as Kunda Mkosha had his entire body buried, while Jonathan Chimponda escaped with minor injuries and is currently receiving medical help at Mukushi General Hospital. And Mukushi Town Council Public Relations Officer Clarence Kawama says preliminary investigations have revealed that the cause of the fire was a cigarette which one of the two victims incorrectly disposed of. Mr. Kawama, however, says it is worrisome to note the increased number of arson deaths, which he says the council is engaging traditional leaders in the district to see how best such inaccuracies can be prevented.
Hours of Sunday, this was around 01 hours, we had an incident as a district where a man only identified as Kunda Mkosha met his fate. This was in a company of his friend, Jonathan Chimponda. They were drinking, but apparently after having a drinking outing, they decided to go home. And that is where Kunda met his fate. So preliminary investigations indicate that the fire incident resulted from cigarettes which the two victims, this is Jonathan and Kunda, were having after having a drinking outing. However, Jonathan Chimponda, who was also a housemate, tried to rescue his friend, but in the incident also was bent. And as the fire brigade and rescue team, as soon as we rushed to the incident scene, we realized that the fire had already swept through the house and Kunda had already met his fate, with only Jonathan with slight burns. Jonathan was then rushed to Mukushi District Hospital where he is attending medical attention. As we speak, Mr. Kunda has already been buried, and we have engaged the local leadership in the district, especially that this is the second incident that we have received in a space of 4 weeks as a district. Therefore, we have engaged the local leadership to see how best we can address this particular issue.
Over 300 survivors of gender-based violence from Chief Chongo Chiefdom in Monze district of the Southern Province have been empowered by a non-governmental organization called Tubambane Foundation in order to make them self-reliant. The women have hailed the organization for the initiative, saying it has helped them become self-reliant. In the first quarter of 2021, 4,254 cases of gender-based violence were reported countrywide. Southern Province recorded 47 cases, translating into 9%. We have more in this report.
A non-governmental organization called Tubambane Foundation has been empowering and sensitizing women on how they can live peacefully in their homes without suffering abuse from their husbands. Gender-based violence cases have been on the rise in the country, and this area is no exception, as women are highly dependent on the perpetrators. Senior Headman Tambale is happy that women empowerment is contributing to harmony being witnessed in various households in Chief Chongo's area.
Libonya mbuyu tubama wetu besu bayagu jincha olubagala tulera mbabo notwali kubatwala pere tukomera kapati wambo tagagamu atabi noga tyompka alazumalale wita wamboti tubiregera antu omwa bamaga intubesu wi habana mujibolo agula sipa yagusambya agwachia aguli agabotu.
Over 300 survivors of GBV from Chief Jongo Chiefdom in Monze district of Southern Province are beneficiaries of the project. The women who spoke to Camnet News say from the time they received maize seed, groundnuts and goats, their husbands have been loyal and able to manage home conflict better with their wives who are now self-reliant.
So tuamba tujie jitahuidiriri je kumbele yotegwa tuzumane kubambulula abubo tumoto jano obutubona gaboto kashigaba yagabola wiha mugwa huli kumanda kulindiswa watukagira muliba hibuku momba awajana wasambala pona wagwaya mwana oya mujala agumuliha kuti bababu mibuliga botu abana bamwe ba positive living children ulakwa yakubasani nakabotu binda muliyo chibagatyani chibagatupa impongo wasambala ogama mugupa.
Tuwambane Foundation is a project funded by the US Embassy in Zambia in collaboration with the Zambia United States Exchange Alumni Association in order to help in the fight against GBV in Chief Chongo's area and empowering women and girls through social and economic justice. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The Southern African Interfaith Peace Mission has called on the Ministry of Religious Affairs and the Zambian police to investigate an influx in the number of prophets purporting that God has spoken to them on who will win the August general election. Interfaith Peace Mission Executive Director says Zambia is not a kingdom but a democratic country where every Zambian has the right to choose the leader of choice without being persuaded by certain influences. Dr. Banda says the prophets who have been uttering false prophecies by naming different leaders as winners have the capacity to start a war in the country if their lies do not come to pass. He says the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, needs to interfere in the matter as well as visit all prophets using their titles to push their agenda on their followers.
Condemn the persuasive prophets who are using the language to persuade the people to go for their choice. Let a Zambian freely make a choice than given a persuasive insight by a so-called prophet. The prophets, let us keep our lanes. And if anything, the Ministry of Religious Affairs should be on board, look out for those prophets and warn them sternly, because this may cause confusion. If there is a prophet from point A who's going to say Edgar Chagolungu is winning, and another prophet from point B come to say HH is winning, another prophet from point C come to say no, Hari Karawa is winning, what kind of confusion are you going to bring? It is anarchy, because those who may lose, they will feel that the election has been rigged just because a man of God spoke. This is totally confusion, and we condemn it with the strongest term it deserves, that Zambia will not accept those prophetic platforms meant to persuade people to do a wrong thing. If God spoke to them, why are they differing? I will hear this prophet says, no, Aga is taking up the mantle. The other one says, no, Edgar is taking up the mantle. Why are you confusing the nation? We should not do that. And I still emphasize ECZ, Zambia Police, let us work together, to interrogate such kind of injustice being made by the so-called prophets. These are prophets of doom. We need to condemn such.
The Zambia Correctional Service Commissioner General Dr. Chisela Chileshe says no one can stop any sitting head of state from pardoning convicted prisoners because it is his prerogative, which is enshrined in the Constitution. Dr. Chisela is responding to Foundation for Democratic Process, FODEP Executive Director George Chimembe, who is challenging the president's prerogative when he said his organization is against the pardoning of inmates because it is an election year. But Dr. Chisela says the president's action is always in accordance with Article 97 of the Republican Constitution, which provides for presidential pardon and substitution of severe punishments imposed on convicted persons. President Lungu has pardoned 579 inmates to commemorate the 2021 Africa Freedom Day, which falls on the 25th of May every year.
For this particular year, which falls in the election year, it will not, and I should emphasize, it will not remove the already provisions that are in existence. In fact, for those that are saying they should not be, pardons, they are enemies of the inmates. And how can, this provision, which provides freedom to the inmates, be abrogated by people who have selfish motives just to ensure that the numbers are kept inside? And for what purpose? Because it's the government and the ruling party that would have cried foul to say, well, why are you releasing people that you should give us votes? But the president is saying, I can release even everyone as long as they meet, what we normally require them to meet.
You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. We'll take a commercial break. We'll be right back.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
It's been 365 days of bringing news on your screens. 365 days of giving you nothing but factual stories. 365 days of giving you those breaking stories, and 365 days of giving you balanced and unbiased news. The last 365 days has made Camnet Television as the most trusted TV channel in current affairs. We together look forward to another 365 days. Remember, Camnet Television, not just another channel.
President Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF have facilitated increased electricity generation to 3,000 megawatts from 1,767 megawatts in 2011. Vote for President Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF that have brought you change.
Every day for me means hard work. Going to sell my goods at the local market. To get more customers, I have my secret. Oracle Pure Glycerin. It's soft, smooth, and keeps my skin perfect. And my customers know it. Thank you, Oracle, for my perfect skin.
The much awaited for Camnet conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
We have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are, can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates, 28th to 29th May 2021. Time, 0730 hours to 1630 hours. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges, 950 kwacha. Lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010. Or you can pay via Stanbic Bank account number 91 3000 1825 325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
We need Zambia to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bob Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that could give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
If we came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people said, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. An environmentalist, Robert Chimambo, has warned that the increase in small-scale mining has a potential to affect the country's environmental outlook. Mr. Chimambo notes that small-scale mining is not well organized, hence posing serious environmental consequences such as deforestation. Mr. Chimambo has since called on the Ministry of Mines to ensure that areas conducting mining activities are well supervised in order to conserve the environment. More in this report.
Deforestation is a key contributor to human-caused climate change. When forests are cleared or burned, they release the carbon they store. Removing trees also diminishes an important carbon sink that takes up CO2 from the atmosphere. The main reason is agriculture. The world's exploding population has made it profitable for big business to raise forests so that they can plant mega crops like soybeans, palm oil. Subsistence farmers clear trees so that they can plant crops to feed their families and bring in small amounts of cash. Charcoal is one of the most important sources of energy for the majority of the fast-growing population, thus making it a key driver of deforestation. And this is Lufwanyama district, the mineral-rich area, and deforestation is rampant and justified by lack of alternative income-generating activities. This is because, in view of the COVID-19 and other challenges, mines could not employ everyone, hence nature is bearing the burden.
Yes. There are still mines. This is a mine plot here.
These issues point to issues of limited forest monitoring and supervision. And environmentalist Robert Chimambo says these challenges are historical.
What you are doing, first of all, where you are working, you are deforesting, isn't it? You are degrading. The people you are employing, they have got to eat. They are cutting the energy. So now you get a proliferation of all these guys now going in pristine lands. And it's historical. If you read the gold rush in California, it's the same thing. If it's not controlled, if it And when I say control, not this hanky-panky control. Some of the damage goes way into the future. So that is the issue really is one of saying now, when you put people there, you must do comprehensive planning. If you employ 20 people, where will get the water? Where will they get the food? Where will they get water? Where will they throw the sewage? All those plans must be in place before a mine opens.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The Inter-Africa Governance Network, AfriNet, has rubbished claims by some sections of society that Vice President and her entourage are abusing state machinery during her campaigns. Organization Executive Director Maurice Malambo has charged that the move being undertaken by the Vice President and her entourage are in accordance with the law. He has quoted the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia under sub-articles 106 Cap 2, 111 Cap 2 and the Electoral Process Act number 35 of 2016 as follows. As sub-article 106 Cap 2, a president shall hold office from the date the president-elect is sworn into office and ending on the date the next president-elect is sworn into office. Mr. Malambo says these laws give power to the sitting president and the vice president to have access to some state machinery during campaigns.
The law is concerned, first of all, you have to look at the provisions of the Constitution and also the principal law governing the elections, which is the Electoral Process Act number 35. First of all, the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia under sub-article 106 and also sub-article 111(2) does establish the fact that the president and the vice president have subsistency during the general election, to mean that they retain authority until the next presidential president-elect is sworn into office. So there's nothing unconstitutional about them being in office. Now, when it comes to accessing state transport facilities during the campaigns, the Electoral Process Act number 35 of 2016 under the Code of Conduct, regulation number 15(1)K, does exempt the president and the vice president to have access to any state facility during the campaigns.
The Religious Affairs Department under the opposition United Party for National Development UPND has urged church mother bodies to take an active role in ensuring free and fair elections. Addressing the press in Lusaka Monday, head of the party's Religious Affairs Committee, Pastor Kelly Mukonka, says just like in the past, the people expect the church should continue giving guidance by creating a conducive electoral environment. Pastor Mukonka says the church should take a lead in preaching against tribalism. He has cautioned the Zambia Police Service to be wary of falling into the PF's trap of using the COVID-19 pandemic as a gimmick to disadvantage the opposition and prevent them from freely campaigning. He has called on the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, to ensure that the forthcoming general elections are held in a free and fair, credible and transparent manner.
Ensure that you operate above partisan politics by accommodating all political players and give them the opportunity to engage with Zambian people, to sell their manifestos freely to Zambian people. Don't stop them. In all 10 provinces, wherever they request for a permit, as you call it, when you are supposed to be notified, wherever they are conducting a rally, and go and protect them, cover them, using your security. But you always say, get a permit. That permit, please, should be given to them. And that's what we are demanding as a church, that no political player should be complaining about such things. Amen. I don't have many things to share with you, members of the press. I humbly seek the indulgence of 3 church mother bodies to continue speaking for the voiceless in the country. Amen. We will rely on the church. In 1991, we relied on the church, and you gave us guidance. And as a church, we will still continue giving guidance. And I believe it's our spiritual responsibility, reverends, pastors, apostles, prophets, to give spiritual guidance to a nation. And this is the spiritual guidance we are giving. May we stand in the gap during this period of election.
The Lusaka Magistrates Court has discontinued the case in which 5 Patriotic Front cadres damaged the motor vehicle of self-proclaimed PF National Commander Innocent Kalimanshi worth 700,000 kwacha during the welcoming of Dr. Chishimba KAMBWILI. This was following Kalimanshi's decision to withdraw the charge against all the 5 cadres who had attacked him. Magistrate Hamaundu discontinued the case pursuant to Section 201 of the Criminal Procedure Code. The 5 accused in this matter were Bright Musonda, 38, a businessman, Ketwad Musonda, 45, Kelvin Chisanga, a youth treasurer, Gift Lupia, 34, a politician, Nectar Sinyangwe, 34, a youth chairperson.
Politics iluse nokusunga abantu kwata wamin ngaifwe va ama American for ECL ifwe to imino kuleta bina Zambia kuba bika bonse pano yes not kufya pona ngumu so na udore ruba onse kumulango okusuma yes pakutaisha at politics kusunga abantu nokwafa abantu point politics kula uma abantu na kula abantu na ama political party ambi abako batabeshiye politics tuyo kubalanga no kubaleta mu PF bonse bayishwa ati president wesunete kachagwa nga tuwabula ba munina ne bana nabafula tubatwale prison n'abakwata family n'abakwata bara family abakamukutondokana tuba PF batenshi ebakakisha babululu yes so file ba PF kulanga leadership.
So pali moto ka komanda mwailaba ko moto ka kwenda kufanya
no chila chipe lo fichilifile isa ina kwa tiparwani sana na ngunga group yesu desali tipara sana shikamoneka.
We feel that leadership, we are no longer future leaders, we are the current leaders. So when you want to become a leader, you need to face challenges. So this is a challenge. We don't want to leave Zambia in a bad speech whereby you find that our own children will be fighting amongst ourselves. This fight is not for all of us who are here, but even those who are fond of fighting others, it's a lesson to them because we have got only one Zambia, one nation.
This is Camnet News. We'll take another break. We'll be back with international and sports news. Stay tuned.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
At Master Signs, our services range from outdoor, indoor signage such as billboards, banners, 3D light boxes, pylons and neon signs. We are located at plot number 397A, Makeni Road, Lusaka. at Oryx Filling Station. For more details, call us on +260 967 100 090 or +260 966 999 981, or better still, email us at infomastersign@gmail.com. Master Sign, we will make it shine.
This month, we're taking over your TV screen with brand new entertainment. A Border Patrol agent is forced to work for a Mexican cartel in Coyote.
My family! It's up to you to keep them safe.
A Ghanaian fashion designer weathers societal prejudice while chasing her dreams in 40 and Single.
Single ladies to the dance floor.
A husband will stop at nothing to cover the tracks of his wife's outrageous crime in What If?
It is your responsibility to make sure that I come out clean.
3 chefs go head-to-head using ingredients chosen by their very own neighbors in Kitchen Crash.
Oh, I love it. It's blended. It's meat sauce.
There's meat sauce.
And there are wacky adventures galore when 2 families are forced to live together in boy, girl, dog, cat, mouse, cheese.
We can handle it.
It's your moment to be taken over with the freshest entertainment.
Oh yes, it's Mayday all the way. You've worked hard. Now it's time to play even harder with entertainment that you'll absolutely love this month on GoTV. Okay. Shake things up a little and you'll never know what drama will fall. No matter your age, there's always some fun to be had. And if it ain't broke, they'll fix it anyway. For your favorite shows, stay connected to GoTV to get into Mayday entertainment.
Find something to distract me.
You got it, no problem.
GoTV, love it.
The much awaited for Camnet conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
We have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness, and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are, can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates, 28th to 29th May 2021. Time, 07:30 hours to 16:30 hours. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges, 950 kwacha, lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010, or you can pay via Stanbic Bank account number 91 3000 1825 325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
We need Zambia to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bob Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that could give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
If we came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people say, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. 6 weeks after it was raided by Islamic State-linked fighters, the northern Mozambican town of Palma remains deeply traumatized, and hundreds of its residents flee each day, survivors and aid workers say. The insurgents swooped on the coastal town on March 24, killing dozens of people and triggering an exodus that included workers on a multi-billion-dollar liquefied natural gas LNG project. The raids marked a major intensification in an insurgency that has wreaked havoc across Cabo Delgado province for over 3 years. The violence pushed Francis Toto to suspend work on the nearby LNG scheme, one of Africa's largest. The dead include several expatriate oil workers.
This shack on the beach in the Mozambican town of Pemba has been Julia Francisco's home since late March. Islamist insurgents attacked the town of Palma in a violent rampage that lasted more than a week. Her baby was born as she hid from the rebels. We heard the shooting, but at first people didn't believe that it was Al-Shabaab. By that time, they had already entered the village in Palma and they began shooting and people began running. I ran while being pregnant, but by God's grace, I managed to run away. But I knew that if I didn't run, I would be caught. The conditions in the camp are grim. Before the attack, the children would come and play in the sand. Now they sleep here. The United Nations has warned of a growing humanitarian crisis in Mozambique and appealed for $82 million to deliver emergency relief. I was helped by people on the boat. When I began going into labor, it didn't take very long. We were in the middle of the water and the boat almost capsized, but thank God it didn't. I don't know where the rest of my family is, if they are alive or not. In total, over 700,000 people have been displaced, according to the International Organization for Migration. The assault on Palma marked a major intensification in an insurgency that has wreaked havoc across northeastern Cabo Delgado province for over 3 years. The violence pushed Francis Total to suspend work on the nearby gas project, one of Africa's largest.
At least 15 people have been killed after the eruption of Mount Nyiragongo on Saturday night. Lava from the eruption covered dozens of homes in Goma, Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, and tremors were felt there on Sunday, raising concerns of further lava flows. The government has promised to help, but people there do not expect much, saying the authorities failed to issue a warning in spite of detecting seismic movements earlier this month.
Lava started gushing out of Mount Nyiragongo on Saturday night. The volcano is on the edge of Goma, a city of about 2 million people. The river of molten rock stopped on the outskirts of the city, but not before it destroyed dozens of homes, some of them with people trapped inside.
I have lost 4 people, including my sister-in-law, burned here in the house. For me, what happened here is almost normal, as this is the first time to see this in my life.
The last eruption, nearly 20 years ago, did even more damage. Still, this time, some people lost everything they own.
We watched the whole neighborhood go up in smoke. The fire came right down to here. Even now we can still see lava.
We climbed the volcano 4 years ago. Wildlife rangers take tourists on trips to the summit. In the crater at the top, you can see the lava lake glowing and feel its heat. It's always simmering, and every so often, it erupts. The foot of an active volcano is not a very safe place for a city, but people living here don't have anywhere else to go. The government's promised to help, but people here don't expect much from the authorities. They failed to give any warning, in spite of volcanologists detecting seismic movements earlier this month.
How can it be that a volcano can erupt when the population is still in the city? They should have given us advance notice to vacate. Can you believe the houses are burning when the population is still here? We have lost all our documents, all our education certificates, and all because we did not prepare.
Thousands of people left the city, mostly on foot, when the eruption began. Many are still scared to go home. Since the eruption, there have been repeated tremors, and people worry that'll disturb the volcano and the lava will start flowing again. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera.
It's now time for sports news. sports news, NAPSA stars have finally confirmed that Mohamed Fathy has been placed on administrative leave following a string of poor results. The club has also announced that Technical Director Ona JANZA, Logistics Manager Gift CHAIPA and Club Administrator Daniel Chivokela have also joined the Egyptian-born coach on administrative leave. Former Zambian defender Kampamba Modiba Chintu will act as head coach and will be in charge of Wednesday's MTN Super League match against KAMBWILI Warriors. Chintu was roped in by JANZA and Fathy midway through the season from his boyhood club Warriors, where he was an assistant to Chabi Chabula. This is the second time AFCON winner will be at the helm of a club after his assistant role at Warriors and Power Dynamos. The Zamford crew understand that NAPSA Stars is expected to announce Perry Mutapa as a new coach in the next few days. NAPSA Stars is currently placed 15th on the log with 36 points. The pensioners have 3 games in hand over 12th placed Young Green Eagles, who have 39 points. Should they beat KAMBWILI Warriors on Wednesday, they will be out of the relegation zone with 2 games over their rivals. That story brings us to the end of the news, but we'll take a look at the headlines once more. Court acquits KAMBWILI again as he urges ECZ to allow political rallies. John SANGWA discontinues ECL eligibility case, but matter continues through Linda Kasonde. Resident doctors call off protests. And in international news, DR Congo volcano eruption leaves 15 dead. In sports news, NAPSA placed JANZA CHAIPA on administrative leave alongside FATHY. The Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 11, and it reads, "They must turn from evil and do good. They must seek peace and pursue it." That's all we had for our news tonight. My name is Jeffrey Zambon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.